Welcome back to Metaphysics with Jay. I'm Jay, and today's episode is about something deceptively simple, wildly powerful, and low-key terrifying. Concepts. Let's dive straight in. Everything you think you know, everyone you think you know, they're all just concepts. You, me, them, the world, the stars, the moon. Your mom's idea of success. Your therapist's take on boundaries. Just concepts. A concept is your finite mind slapping a label on the infinite so it doesn't get overloaded and overwhelmed. It's how we compress the ungraspable into something we can point at and say, "Ah, yes, I get it." Spoiler, you don't. You just named it. That's different. Let's break it down. Time? You can't touch it, smell it, or pour it into a glass. But we obsess over it. We live by the clock. We even die by it. Why? Because we agreed to treat it like it's real. Time feels urgent, solid, because we boxed it, labeled it, believed it. Time is finite, and anything finite is just a concept. Here's the twist. Everything finite we perceive is still an expression of the infinite, a wave playing dress-up in the ocean of pure being. Love, you can't hold it, but you'll write poetry, buy chocolate, and rearrange your entire life for it. Still a concept. Concepts are like labels on jars, useful until you think the label is what's inside. Just because it says happiness doesn't mean it's not full of unresolved drama and trauma. Concepts are like fingers pointing to the moon. They help us recognize truth, but we end up staring at the finger. We will miss the moon. You're not touching reality. You're naming it from a distance, believing it is something out there. And that is the problem. We suffer when we mistake the label for the real thing. We create drama when we live in concepts and forget they are just signposts, not the real thing. Anyways, what is the life cycle of a concept? We're born into a world of labels. This is a chair. That's the moon. Say thank you. Be nice. Believe this. Fear that. We didn't learn truth. We learned concepts, mental shortcuts to survive, relate, and not eat glue, and stay out of trouble. Until we confuse the label for the thing, until the concept becomes not just what we know, but who we think we are, and who we think the others are. The wild part? Nobody told us we were learning concepts just to survive. No one said, "Hey kid, this isn't truth. This is just how we pretend in this world." We are all pretending. The sooner you learn how to pretend, the better you will be. They taught it like gospel, because that's how they were taught too. So, no, you can't really blame them. They didn't know either. They just passed down the mask, thinking it was a mirror, thinking it was reality. Look at the way they slapped labels on everything and everyone. That beggar over there, he is earning more than a cop. He's street smart. Look at that con man with charisma. Visionary leader. Commander-in-chief. They wrap fear in a spreadsheet and call it a business strategy. Them folks put a tie on confusion and call it a philosophy degree. Sophistication is just better branding for the same old confusion, aka illusion. We're all just highly evolved toddlers, playing dress-up with language and calling it wisdom. And here's the real twist. Concepts build our world, but they can also break us apart. Me, you, us, them, God, enemy, country, success, their stories, symbols, agreements. And when we forget they're just concepts, that's when things get messy, separated, and different. A concept becomes a belief becomes an identity becomes a flag, and next thing you know, someone's going to war and kill innocent people for an idea they forgot was made up. So no, concepts aren't the enemy. They're tools, helpful, even necessary. But the moment we frame them, idolize them, and start worshiping the idea itself, they stop being tools and start becoming traps. What once served us becomes a cage, and we become the prisoners. How does a simple idea become a movement? And how can it go from something inspiring to something dangerous? We'll trace the journey from the birth of a concept through belief and passion into the realm of fanaticism and beyond. It's a path walked by religions, revolutions, cults, and even brands. Yes, brands. Let's start at the beginning. Concept is a seed. Every movement starts with a thought, an idea. Think of it like a seed. On its own, it's small, negligible, maybe even easy to ignore. But it holds potential to grow into something vast. Take democracy. At one point, it was just an idea in the minds of a few ancient Greek philosophers. What if the people could govern themselves? That idea lived on, passed down like a spark through time, until it became the foundation of nations. Or consider something even more abstract, minimalism, the idea that less is more. It started as an artistic and philosophical reaction against excess. Now it influences how people furnish their homes, spend their money, and live their lives. But let's be clear. Ideas don't move the world on their own. They don't have legs. They don't walk into history books by themselves. People move ideas. People pick them up, obsess over them, polish them with emotion, and breathe life into them with passion. They think about them on the bus, talk about them at dinner, post about them online, and defend them like sacred truth. When a handful of people truly believe in a concept, they tend it like a gardener with a seedling, watering it with attention, shielding it from criticism, and offering it sunlight in the form of praise, repetition, and community. These are the early adopters, the idea evangelists. They're the ones reading older books, showing up to every meeting, forwarding the TED Talk to their friends, and tattooing the slogan on their soul. They don't just believe the concept is useful. They believe it matters, that it can change lives, maybe even save the world, and sometimes it does. But the story doesn't stop there. Believers gave rise to Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, Sufism, Taoism, the Enlightenment, environmentalism. Without them, the concept stays in the soil. With a few involved, it starts to grow, but belief can deepen, and sometimes it hardens into a lighthouse. And the folks up there, constantly stoking the flame and shouting from the tower, yeah, those are the fanatics. Fanatics are no longer content to garden. They build walls around the garden and lock the gates. They don't just believe in the concepts, they become the concepts. They see the world through its lens and expect everyone else to do the same. If believers ask, what can this idea do for the world? Fanatics ask, why isn't the world already following this idea? Think of political extremists who no longer tolerate dissent, or a tech evangelist who dismisses every critique of their favorite platform as ignorance. The idea becomes sacred, and the sacred must be defended at any cost, from fanatics to firebrand extremists. Some fanatics take it a step further. They cross the line and become extremists. They don't just defend the idea, they enforce it through fear, intimidation, and control. But here's the irony. They're not driven by truth. They're driven by their own fear and frustration. Their war isn't with the world, it's with themselves. It's self-imposed agony, self-inflicted pain dressed up as purpose. If the world won't accept the idea willingly, they'll burn down what stands in the way. They have become arsonists. We've seen this throughout history. The Inquisition, the Reign of Terror, terrorist cells, even some cults that end in violence. What started as a spark of inspiration ends in smoke. The finality is the ashes. They either collapse or transform. But here's the twist. Nothing stays extreme forever. Movements that go too far tend to burn themselves out. They collapse under their own weight or spark a backlash. Or, if they look at the mess they created, they will transform themselves and evolve. Some concepts survive the fire. They are reinterpreted, reimagined, refined, and then absorbed. Think of how Christianity transformed from a persecuted sect to a global religion, or how capitalism, once radical, is now so normalized that even its critics operate within it. What remains are the ashes, and sometimes the compost, the soil for something new. So next time you hear a new concept, a political slogan, a personal philosophy, a radical movement, ask yourself, where is it on the path? Is it still a seed, being nurtured by believers, guarded by fanatics, or has the fire already started? Concepts shape the world, but how we hold them determines whether they grow or burn. And if everything's a concept, a mental construct, then what is reality? Well, it has to be the opposite of all this mental makeup. It means letting concepts be just that. Concepts, tools, not truths, used when needed, then set aside. And beneath it all, the still, silent awareness from which every concept arises. That's what metaphysics is pointing toward. If it clicked, great. If it didn't, no worries. You'll find yourself somewhere on the spectrum. Maybe you are a believer, maybe a fanatic, maybe a full-blown lunatic hallucinating righteousness, or an extremist barking at anyone who doesn't believe the same brand of nonsense you do. Sound familiar? I know a few on that path, spiraling into self-destruction, networking with like-minded lunatics, and spreading hate like it's a group project, usually aimed at the people living right next door. Here's some advice. You don't have to believe a single word I say. Just try it for yourself. Experiment with it. Start seeing everything, and I mean everyone and everything, as a concept, including you, your name, your partner, your family, your friends, your job, your story, your healing journey, even your idea of awakening. Just concepts. See what happens when you stop taking your inner narrator so damn seriously. You'll feel lighter, more playful, more peaceful, more joyful, less triggered. When you truly realize that everything and everyone, even you, are just concepts, something shifts. You stop clinging. You stop reacting to labels like they're the full truth. You start to see things for what they are, temporary appearances, not permanent identities. And from that clarity, your thoughts, words, and actions naturally change. You begin to say what's needed without the ego micromanaging your image. You begin to do what truly helps without the guilt, the pride, or the performance. You make choices that serve you deeply, not just protect your mosque. And without even trying, you'll do what's best for others too. Not because you're trying to be good, but because you no longer see them as other. When concepts drop, compassion flows, wisdom moves, and love stops needing a label. You might even let other people live their lives without micromanaging their metaphysics. Now, if you are feeling like you are clinging and overwhelmed, still freaking out, find a metaphysician and get therapy. Seriously, if you can't find one, maybe I will be able to guide you back home. I don't want to see you spiral down the rabbit hole so deep that you forget how to climb back out. So what's not a concept? If everyone and everything's a concept, then what is reality? It's the opposite of all this mental furniture. It's what remains when the concepts fall away. Not the label, not the jar, not the contents. Just the awareness that knows all of it. Perception versus concept versus consciousness. Let's break it down. Perception equals raw experience. You see something furry. You hear barking. Smell dog. Concept equals the label. Oh, that's a dog. Friendly. Golden retriever. Safe to pet. Consciousness awareness in which both arise. Think of it like this. Consciousness is the sky. Perceptions are the clouds. Concepts are the weather app trying to name the clouds. The sky, always there. Before, during, and after the storm. What you really are. You are the awareness in which all the concepts arise. Let me boil down 5,000 years of wisdom in a few sentences. Your awareness or consciousness is that in which all experience appears, through which all experience is known, and out of which all experience is made. Game over. Game begins. Thanks for listening to Metaphysics with Jay. If this episode gave your inner control freak a panic attack, perfect. You're right where you need to be. Like, share, subscribe. Send this to someone who mistakes concepts for their reality.